Hello and welcome to the Can't Pause This podcast. Today I'm talking to director, producer, actress and model Emma Dark. We've got her on the show to talk about her latest film, horror short Seize the Night, as well as upcoming project Salient -10. Rather than me explain all of that, I'll let the lady herself tell you. Hi Emma, how are you?
Oh yeah, I'm great, thank you.
Brilliant. So, first question I'm going to shoot, we'll start from the beginning. So it was a transition for yourself from model to actress to director. Can you tell me a little bit about that transition? How's it been? It was all in quite a relatively short amount of time. So kind of what inspired that?
It was, yeah, that's right. I was modelling for a number of years, kind of just on a fairly small scale alternative level. And a friend of mine was making a music video for Kim Wilde, which was called Every Time I See You, I Go Wild. And he said to me, could you be in the video? So I said, yes, I'd love to be in the video. And it was just basically the process of, working with a moving image rather than the modelling, which, although you get great pictures, it can be quite boring, to be honest. That kind of really held my interest. And actually seeing it back on screen, I thought, okay, I'd like to do more of this. And then from that point, I did a couple of other music videos for a friend, and they came out quite well. And then I started to do my own kind of sort of mini interview show for YouTube. And I interviewed a bunch of filmmakers, and I thought, they came from films, and I thought if they can do it, so can I. And that kind of just made me do it, really.
Cool, so it was kind of a bit of a step by step. One thing led to another, and before you knew it, you were directing, I guess.
Exactly.
The attitude, oh, I can see someone doing it, so I'll have a go as well, has led me to some brilliant places. So it's an excellent attitude to have, I think.
I think so, yeah.
Bro, so that led to where you are now. That hit your most recent finished film was Seize the Night.
Yes.
So can you tell us a little bit about that? What's it about? Why do people need to check it out? How can they check it out?
Okay, yeah, I mean, well, the film is quite a complex short film, to be honest. It's not particularly long. It's only just under 13 minutes. It's about a character who I played the lead character as well because I did so many things in that film. It's probably a bit insane, but I kind of like to keep busy really. But it's about this vampire who she was captured by some humans and been experimented on for a number of years. And then she kind of breaks out and she tries to rejoin her coven, but she's kind of, after being trapped for all these years, she's a little bit disturbed, to be honest. And they kind of don't really want her. She's not kind of playing by the rules. And so she sets out kind of renegade by herself. And she meets an old friend who's a werewolf, and they kind of make an alliance to combat the humans. So it's quite a lot going on in a short film.
Cool, a lot of the say classic horror kind of creatures, but I guess it's classic as people know them, but it's a new spin, kind of your own spin on them, I guess.
Exactly. It is. It's yeah. I mean, it's very modern, and I really was looking at sort of films like Blade, Underworld, Razor Blade Smile, that kind of thing. Which is, I mean, it's the complete opposite to the Hammer films entirely. And that's the kind of thing I wanted to do, really. And yeah, I mean, it's just kind of slick and a lot of action.
21st century vampires.
Yeah, exactly.
Bro, so you mentioned you're acting in it, you're directing. You said you got a lot going on in this one. Do you kind of when you
Yes.
do a project, do you really sounds like you really take control and have kind of creative control over a lot of aspects? Is that kind of the way you prefer it? It's as much as you can kind of take on.
Yeah, it is. It is. I mean, at the end of the day, it's a short film. It's not a feature. If I was making a feature, I'd probably need more help. Um, but yeah, I kind of want to keep that creative vision.
Hmm.
And I think it's as soon as you start bringing lots of people in to do different things, you kind of lose pieces of that, even on a short film. So yeah, I mean, part of it is I like to keep busy and I like to be challenged. And part of it is I don't want to lose that creative vision. So yeah, I did a lot of things for Season Night. I produced, directed, edited, colour graded, starred in it, marketed it, did the poster, everything really, and it's not that much different with my new film, to be honest.
Goodness. Well, new film is Silent minus 10.
Yes,
Uh, that's still in production, I believe?
it is, but it's almost complete. There's just, I mean, it's a tiny bit of work I've got to do really to the end credits because I'm not quite happy with the way that Premiere Pro 2017 has got some updates with these rolling credits. I don't particularly like, so I need to just go back and modify a few things with that, and there are a couple of shots that need colour balancing, but after that it's completely done. But I need to go ahead and create a trailer, which I haven't done yet.
So it's into the marketing phase, I guess, is the...
Oh yeah, yeah, it'll never end really. So that'll probably be me, probably be me marketing that then for the next year. So trying to take it around all the festivals and everything.
Bro, can you give us a little bit of an idea of the plot, kind of as much as you're willing to give away?
Yeah, I mean I can't give away too much because unlike Season 8, it's a very simple storyline. So if I said too much or gave away too much in the trailer, I think it'd be one of those things like you have a feature film and you know everything about the film from the trailer. So it's basically about a guy. He's an average guy. He's on his way to work. He's quite bored. He's kind of bored of going to work, just kind of wandering along, minding his own business, and then something crazy happens, and he's basically transported into another dimension. And it's his journey through this other dimension, trying to get back to his own reality.
So I think when we've all had our journey to work, we do sometimes wish that we could just be sucked up into another dimension. I think that might be a fancy of some people.
Yeah, yeah, I think yeah, exactly. Maybe that's where I've got it from. I don't know, but yeah, yeah, exactly. And I think kind of anyone could be kind of switched off, walking along on their way to work and something happened like that.
Hmm. So with Season Night and kind of talking about these films, it kind of sounds like you've got a very, your vision, you know what you want from it. Is it a case of you've got a real clear idea before you start production on these films? Kind of, you got it in your head what it's going to look like and what you want it to be, or does it kind of develop as you go?
No, I mean, well, with Season 9, I did have a clear idea, but unfortunately, because it's so complex, and there were so many different locations involved, it didn't quite always turn out exactly how I wanted it to, and I had to make some allowances in the edit to get around certain things, although I never had to drop a scene or anything like that. And the same with Salient, but when it came to Salient, I was just much more clear ahead of time to try and get everything exactly kind of how I imagined, and I have been able to do that more with this film.
Bro, okay. I imagine, I guess if you can sort of see that vision quite clearly, you've got a very good idea of what you want from the film or what you want it to be, the less kind of compromise you can make, the better.
Exactly.
So how can, I mean, Season Night is out. What's the best way for people to kind of check it out?
Yeah, they can basically go to my Vimeo channel or my YouTube channel when it's on there, or they can visit seasonnightfilm.com and it's on the homepage there and they can watch it. And if they want to buy a DVD or something, they can also buy a DVD through the website. So
Okay, so you're doing the kind of very new age distribution method, complete with traditional, you can hold it in your hands kind of
yeah,
distribution as well.
exactly. I mean, I had to kind of put them together for the backers anyway, and the cast and crew. And it ended up being that it would be cheaper to do it this way with the BBFC rating rather than just sending it from America with all the shipping. So I just thought, okay, I'll carry on and I'll sell them to fans and stuff. And I have.
Because that was a result of, cause you went through crowdfunding for Season Night?
Yes, that's right. I did go through crowdfunding, but I didn't get that much because it was my first film I was trying to put through crowdfunding. So a lot of the budget for that film came from my own pocket.
Sure, I mean, would you go back to, I think Salient was, you went through that again for Salient, is that right?
I did, and I was kind of dubious as to, would I get the money sort of thing. But then again, I looked at other filmmakers and I looked at, what they were getting for their second project on crowdfunding, and other people seem to be meeting their goals. So I thought, okay, I'll just try it really, and I tried it, and I did meet the goal. So
Oh, bro,
it's been
okay.
very helpful. I mean, it still hasn't been the whole budget. I still had to put some of my own money in as well, but it's kind of helped. So
Sure, maybe for that third one, then you kind of it moves that much forward, and people have seen the kind of either heard about you in the time between, or it's this the kind of people coming back, word of mouth spreads. I guess your fan base kind of grows, and a few more people get interested, and I guess maybe it's an organic growth on crowdfunding.
Exactly, yeah. I'd like to think it probably was that. And I think the fact is, when you're making your first film, there's no proven track record of the quality level, or whether you even meet your commitments to the backers.
Hmm.
So I think people are naturally, and rightly so, cautious. So yeah, once you've got to your second film, maybe your third film, people can see you can deliver the goods, both in terms of a good film and the actual merchandise that people are backing for.
Yeah, I mean, it's coming out of people's, it's their kind of hard-earned money in their paychecks. So I guess they do want to be kind
Yeah,
of sure and really invested in something that they're paying into. But it's kind of
exactly.
a good mark that they're willing to contribute to your projects. I think.
Oh yeah, absolutely. I mean, I had a few people put £500 in,
Wow.
for producer credits, and I mean that's a lot. It's a lot of money to put in, isn't it? Really, to be honest,
Yeah.
especially if you don't know the person, you've maybe only seen one or two films they've done. So I really appreciate that.
Yeah, I mean, that's a real sign of kind of trust and belief, and shows that they appreciate
Yeah,
what you're doing. So that's great.
absolutely.
So just in regard to, we were talking about distribution there for a minute. What is your, are you kind of, would you prefer those traditional, would you rather put out a DVD, or are you kind of happy to have everything, streamed? Would you kind of look to go on Amazon Prime, or how would you like to continue forward distributing your projects? What's your chosen method?
Yeah, well, I mean, for me, it's basically I don't expect to make any money off of it, and I don't necessarily want to make any money off of it, but you're always trying to get the most amount of people to see your film as possible,
Hmm.
which with a short film is really important, again, to help you kind of, to spread the word, to get popularity, so eventually one day you might get enough budget to make a feature film which you can sell. But the problem is, and I found with Season 8, I put that on my Vimeo channel, thinking Vimeo's a little bit safer than YouTube in terms of people ripping it and stuff like that. And literally within 24 hours, it was ripped by pirates. And it's been ripped onto so many different pirate sites now, it's untrue. So that is a bit of a problem. And I know some people will say, oh, it's more exposure, that kind of thing. But I really kind of don't agree with piracy of films. And, it's just, yeah, it's really difficult. So Amazon Prime probably is a good route because it makes it much, much more difficult for pirates to go and rip your film. They'd have to literally have a Prime account, go in and, use kind of screen recording software or something rather than being able to just rip a file through a external app. So it makes it much harder for them to do it. So I would recommend Prime, but I don't know what the audience viewing figures are like.
It is quite a new, like a relatively new service anyway, so I guess it's going to take a bit of
Yeah.
time for that sort of stuff to come out if they choose to release it.
Exactly, it will, and I just don't know how accessible it is for people to find the films, kind
Hmm.
of in their Prime account feeds and stuff.
Yeah, and it is a shame you were saying about piracy, but it is a real shame that happened because it's for project, smaller scale kind of production
Yeah,
and projects that really does take an impact, doesn't it?
exactly, and I know, friends that are basically feature filmmakers, and they've sent their film out, and they might have sent it to a dodgy festival here or there, or a reviewer that's maybe not quite, as good as they should be, and these things have been leaked out and gone
Mm.
to pirate sites, and it's meant they've completely lost any revenue they would have got because then they can't get a distribution deal. So yeah, it's really tough.
Mm. You were mentioning festivals as one way you kind of put a project, and like Salient, you'll be going down that route as well. Do you think they've still got like a real importance to particularly like
Yes.
short films and projects?
Yeah, I think so. I mean, okay, you could basically, and I know people that have, they've done a short, if they've got somebody in it who's particularly well known or something, they can put it straight out on the web and get a certain amount of views, which is great because at the end of the day, you do want an audience to see your film. But for me, the festival circuit is, you know, trying to get the film recognised by other people within the industry, and particularly for your cast and crew who've kind of put all their time and effort in and stuff, trying to get them some recognition as well.
Hmm.
Yeah, so that's kind of why it's important to me to put things on the festival circuit. But yeah, in terms of viewership, you probably don't get that much. Unless you're in a major, huge festival, you wouldn't really get the audience figures through festivals.
No, but I guess it's those kind of anybody in that room is likely to be a kind of a horror fan or certainly a film fan. So the people that
Yeah,
are there, will be passionate enough to really talk about your film, and chances are they're probably the
yeah,
people helping out on crowdfunding and
exactly. Yeah, I think you can gain some really strong supporters, and obviously, if on most horror film festivals and genre film festivals, there are always reviewers sitting in,
hmm.
so it's good if you can get like a good review or something like that through the festival. And yeah, I mean, and I think if you can get a decent amount of laurels and hopefully an award or two, it's pretty good. It shows that there's a quality level with your film, I think.
Is it in a case of, I mean, I assume you go to the festivals and you get to talk to kind of the audience a bit more directly and
Yeah, yeah, yeah. Most of them do Q&As, not all. Sometimes they don't. Sometimes it'll literally be the films will just be played in a block and that's it. But a lot of them will want to bring the filmmakers up on stage and do a Q&A.
that must be quite powerful to be able to explain, I don't want to say sell the film, but at least kind of explain kind of certain parts or explain your vision to what it was. And I think that could be really
Yeah,
powerful as well in just communicating about yourself and your projects.
exactly. Yeah, I think so. And it's always good to hear people's feedback. And I think with a lot of the Q&As at festivals, people tend to be very honest as well.
Hmm.
Because it's one thing to kind of ask people and do a little test screening with them. And it's one thing for people you've never met to stand up and ask you questions, sort of, and, give you criticisms, positive or negative.
Yeah, I mean, that's the negatives do kind of hurt a little bit, but you can often learn as
Yeah,
much, if not more. So
exactly, exactly.
great. So I'm gonna let you get away in a minute, but I've got one
Okay.
final question for you. Um, is there anything either you've seen kind of recently that you want to kind of tell people they need to go out and check out, or is there any of your something that influenced you, either horror or just film in general, that again people
Mm.
sort of you want to explain or you think people need to go and check out and seek out?
Yeah, well, I mean, I'll probably reckon things are a bit older because
That's
the
fine.
the only stuff I've seen at the cinema recently is like Covenant and Ghost in the Shell. So I don't know if they're to everyone's taste. But yeah, one of my favourite films is Raw Meat, aka Deathline, which is basically set on the London Underground and focuses around a bunch of cannibals that have kind of lived in the underground for decades and kind of what happens with that. And that's a really good film. I can't remember what year it's from exactly. It's early 70s and it's got Donald Pleasance in it and a very small role from Christopher Lee. But it's a great film and not everyone would have seen that because it's a little bit older. So I'd say definitely check that out.
Okay. So it sounds like classic. Is it a 70s gore or a bit more in the shadows?
Yeah, no, it does have gore in it. To be honest, I'm actually not really a gore fan. So surprising that this is one of my favourite films. But yeah, it's not like Cannibal Holocaust overdone gore, sort of gore flying left, right, and centre. I think it's quite a classy film.
Well, when it's done for like maximum kind of, it doesn't have to be a lot, but when it's done for actual maximum impact and used right, I'm not a big
Yes.
gore, I'm not like a blood and guts guy, but when it's kind of done and makes an impact, I think it's can be really
Yeah,
really brilliant.
exactly. Yeah, when it's kind of in place, and I don't want to give away a spoiler or anything for the film, but there's a beautiful pan where they kind of go into the lair of the cannibals and what you see in it. That is honestly, it's so creepy, and for the age of the film to be that it's just a beautiful shot, creepy.
Hmm.
It's just a little bit unexpected, and I showed this at a film night before, and it really put people on edge.
Yeah, I can imagine like just the fact it's set under the London Underground kind of says to me
Yeah,
shadows unseen, your mind's kind of going to be screwing with you a little bit, which is always quite
exactly.
good making a
Especially
horror film.
yeah, especially when half of them are probably going home via the underground as well.
That does help.
Yeah.
Is there any other sort of slightly older films that we need to be looking for?
Um, I don't know. I mean, I've got like some random older ones. The Quiet Earth, I think, is really good. That's from the 80s, and that's a New Zealand film. Not many people have heard about that or watched that, so surprisingly. And it's kind of like a Last Man on Earth kind of film, and that's got some really beautiful visuals in it.
Okay.
I don't know what the budget was. It looks quite big budget. That's definitely worth watching.
Okay, bro. Yeah, a lot of those kind of, I guess they are technically foreign film, but unfortunately they do kind of go
Yeah.
overlooked a little bit. So it's always good to sort of seek those out,
Yeah.
especially they take a different
Yeah.
edge on things.
Exactly.
Bro, is there anything we've sort of spoken about how people can check out Caesar Night? You've got Salient
hmm
coming up, so people need to be
Yes.
looking out for when the trailer drops. But is there anything else you want to kind of point people in the direction of yours? Anything you want to kind of use the time push people on?
Yeah, I'd say the Misty Moon Film Festival. I don't run it, but I'm an honorary patron for Misty Moon, which is run by a friend of mine, and they run a load of nights where they get kind of UK and some American film stars in to the Phoenix Artists Club, mainly in London, and they run them with about say about 40 people come into a Q&A. About 40 people turn up to a Q&A with a film star. That's the kind of normal thing they do. But they also run a film festival once every year for genre shorts. And it's really interesting. And all of the films that are entered, I mean, everything that gets selected is actually really high quality. And they always have celebrity judges there, kind of from the UK film and TV scene. So it's a great festival, and I'll say definitely for people to submit their film. I don't know how much it is. I think it's about $12, $15, something like that on Film Freeway, and there aren't many festivals like that, so I should do it.
Great. Is that in London as well? Same as the nights?
It's in London, yeah, and I'm sure if people just Google the Misty Moon Film Festival, because I probably just really rambled about that then, if they Google Misty Moon Film Festival, it'll come up top of Google and they can find out more information.
Cool. We'll have a link to that on the Can't Pause This
Yes.
page as well, and we'll put that on Twitter. So if people do want to check that out, just head to our page or Emma's. I'm sure it'll be up there.
Yes.
Bro, other than that, so thank you, Emma, for joining us. Much appreciated. Hopefully we'll catch up with you again later on in the year, maybe for the release of Salient.
Yes, that would be lovely. Yeah, thank you.
Thank you, people, for listening, and join us next time. Bye bye. Thank you to Emma Dark for joining us. You can catch up with more of Emma with the links on the video, and if you did enjoy this edition and want to hear more from Can't Pause This, just hit subscribe and find us on all the normal social networks. Plus, if you have any ideas on what you want to hear from us, please feel free to let us know. Until next time, thanks for listening and goodbye.